Spoiler season is here. Spoiler season is here. I don't know why I said that with any alarm, because spoiler season is always here, right? It only felt like Commander decks came out, well, they did, like a week ago, and here we are, Throne of Eldraine. But this is a problem that Magic has had for a long time, so we won't dwell on it too much. Let's get excited. New cards are very, very exciting. Throne of Eldraine pre-release over at Loading Ready 1 is not this weekend, but next, Friday the 20th of September, and I'm going to be there. I will be at the Loading Ready 1 pre-release. So let's get some hype in the comments, and yeah, I will be keeping my mouth clean. I won't be eating dirt, nor will I be swearing too much, if at all, because I won't be swearing. I know some of you are like, how will he do it? Well, I can moderate myself, you know? Let's look at some spoilers. So I've been away on a holiday for the weekend, for a long weekend with my wife to celebrate our wedding anniversary, and I come back and it's like, holy shit! They spoiled, like, everything? So let's go through in order of what's currently showing on mythicspoiler.com and look at some of these cards. First up is the Circle of Loyalty, a 6-mana legendary artifact. Weird that it's an artifact. I thought it was an enchantment at first glance. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each knight you control. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever you cast a legendary spell, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance, and 4 mana tap it to create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. Kinda cool. It's quite expensive at 6 mana. Is it an EDH rare? Probably. That said, it might see some fringe standard play, and I might try playing it in Night Stompy if there's enough good legendary knights. I haven't even checked. Rafika the Many, he's a legendary knight, right? Oko Thief of Frowns is a 3-mana planeswalker starting at 4 loyalty that takes up to 6 to make a food token. For those of you that don't know, food tokens are tapped with 2 mana to gain 3 life. How exciting. The food token thing is cool and flavorful and thematically on point, as we'll see with some cards shortly, but I'm kind of like, it's like bad clues, I guess. It's a bit of a shame. The +1 ability on Oko is the most exciting bit, because this card has 2 tick-ups on a 3 CMC walker that starts at 4 loyalty. That's pretty good. The +1 changes a target artifact or creature into a 3/3 elk. That's it. It loses all abilities and becomes a green elk creature with a base power and toughness of a 3/3. Discarding commander will sort of solve Dryads people's commanders into a Wrath Happens. It will turn a problematic permanence, Swords of X and Y, or I don't know, unstable erratic portals and things like that into 3/3s. And they're just 3/3s at that point. It's a very good removal spell for artifacts and creatures, although not enchantments, weirdly. You thought maybe the green might have gave it that, but maybe they didn't want to make it too good. Its -5 is pretty cool. Exchange control of target artifact or creature you control and target creature an opponent controls with power 3 or less. So you can turn their commander into an elk, you can then make a food token, and you can swap said food token for their elk commander, I guess. It's not hugely powerful, but I think it's just good. I think it's not like game-breakingly powerful, but it's just good. It's got removal, it makes a permanent that like powers up its ultimate. It ultimates the next turn, so if you're present or board protected, whether this be commander, standard, or potentially even modern in a mid-range metagame, yeah, Oko seems really solid. Then we have Rankle, Master of Pranks. Yes, that's right, we have a fairy rogue creature, a 3/3 flying 4-mana hasting fairy rogue. For some reason I keep thinking it's a demon, but it's not. And whenever Rankle deals combat damage to a player, choose any number of these effects. Each player discards a card, each player loses 1 life and draws a card, or each player sacrifices a creature. The utility here is huge. It has so many different abilities strapped to or ways to deal with opponents' boards. If you want a token strategy, or you've got some like creatures lying around that you don't need, you can make them sack their only decent creature. You can make both you discard if you're trying to go to top deck mode like in a Jund deck, and also it can draw you into gas, although it does draw your opponent into gas too, but it does make it a 4-point life swing as well. So I think this card's pretty good. Will it see play outside of standard? Maybe. I mean, it's quite a strong effect on a flying hasting flyer, so I wouldn't rule this out for Legacy or Modern, but I think this card's going to be really quite strong in Standard as a 3/3 flying hasting threat that has lots of utility and abilities to adapt to different board states. I think Rankle's actually pretty good. Then we have the Royal Scions, a 3 CMC walker again. We have Will and Ken Rowan, Will and Ken Oh, whatever. This is a 2 walkers on 1 card. They're acting like this is like a unique new thing, even though we just had Wrenn and 6 that is currently wrecking Modern and Legacy. I say wrecking. It's just, it's a very powerful effect that is becoming omnipresent, shall we say. It's also like a $100 card at this point because Modern Horizons was too expensive as a premium product. They should stop putting unique or valuable or much needed reprints in premium priced products. There you go. There's my fucking soapbox. Stop making your supplementary sets with the reprints and new cards like 10 fucking bucks. That's absurd. This 3 CMC Walker starts on 5 loyalty and upticks to draw a card and then discard a card. It also upticks to make target creature get +2/+0 and gain first strike and trample to end of turn. The first effect is pretty much your go-to effect for red-blue combinations. The whole looting thing feels very is it inverted commas, whilst the other ability is very red in giving first strike and trample and a pump. Similar to Oko, something I didn't cover is that it doesn't necessarily protect itself because it doesn't make a blocker or remove a creature per se. It can give one of your current creatures though a good body to block with. So if you have a body on board already, kind of like I said with Oko, to protect it, you can give that creature first strike. It also ticks up to 6, so against a smaller board presence of like some 2/2s or a 3/3, it will still survive. The ultimate's a lot higher in terms of like loyalty cost at -8, where you draw 4 cards, and when you do, the Royal Suns deal damage to any target equal to the number of cards in your hand. So -8 is going to be like a 4, 5, 6, or 7 damage to target thing. Yeah, the ultimate... Drawing 4 cards is good. Drawing 4 cards is always very, very good. But for Planeswalker Ultimate, it feels kind of weak considering it's a full-on Planeswalker Ultimate. A lot of the walkers that have high loyalty cost, like ultimates, give an inevitability where they just win the game for you when it goes off. 3 CMC walkers aren't quite like that. Even Liliana the Veil, I guess, doesn't do that because the Edict plus Fact or Fiction effect doesn't always win you the game. But it's pretty fucking backbreaking. I mean, the ultimate's good. I just think for -8, it's not good enough, and I'm not sure how strong this is compared to Oko, which, at least in Commander, will see loads of play because it will just deal with most problematic permanents by turning into a fucking elk. And then our boy is back. Garrick, Cursed Huntsman, really on the nose here. Instead of just being like, here's a Huntsman motif or theme, he's just called Huntsman. His 0 creates 2/2/2 black and green wolf tokens with when this creature dies, put a loyalty counter on each Garrick you control. That's right, Cursed Huntsman is promoting Garrick Tribal. I am thinking perhaps a Garrick themed Nick Fit deck with him and Garrick Relentless and other Garricks, where you're just making wolves and sacking wolves and putting loyalty counters on Garricks. His -3 destroys target creature, draw a card. So basically this Planeswalker doesn't have a uptick, as it were, but destroying a creature and drawing a card is very, very good, and it also makes 2 bodies to protect itself. So as far as 6 mana Planeswalkers go, this is really quite strong. And then it's -6, so he needs 1 more loyalty. He needs 1 wolf to die in combat or to be sacrificed to do this. As you get an emblem with the creatures you control get +3/+3 and have trample. Bear in mind he's a 6 CMC walker with 5 loyalty with a really quite strong ultimate of -6 in a format like Standard where Proliferate should still exist. It was War of the Spark that had Proliferate, right? I think this Garrick is very, very good. The fact that he generates card advantage, kills creatures, creates bodies to protect himself, and has an ultimate that will just win you the game when you have a few bodies in play. I mean, Overrun is a game-winning effect anyway. How many games of Cube or Limited have you won thanks to Overrun or Craterhoof Behemoth? This is like some weird mid-range mixture of like your typical Vraska Planeswalker plus some of the overrunning effects we've seen on Garrick previously. This card is fucking gas, and so far I think it's the best mythic we've seen. By quite a margin. With the mythics out of the way, let's talk about one of the new mechanics, Adventure. These are creatures that have sorceries or instants strapped to them, kinda. Essentially, you can play Embereth's Shieldbreaker or Lovestruck Beast for their normal CMC. In this case, Embereth is a 2 mana 2/1, a piker. And then Lovestruck Beast is a 3 mana 5/5 that can only attack if you control a 1/1 creature. Bear in mind, it can block, so this is quite a good body, regardless of that callback. But anyway, these are their creature sides. They have this adventure element to them. As you see here, it says, for example, on Embereth, destroy target artifact, then exile this card, you may cast the creature later from exile. This makes Embereth quite a good sideboard card, because not only is it a destroy target artifact, if some artifacts are problematic in the future in Standard, but then you can exile it and then return it to the battlefield later for 2 mana, whether it be next turn, the turn after, or the turn after, as a 2/1 body. So you've got your shadow effect with a 2/1 body strap to it, but much later. Lovestruck Beast itself is a curve filler. For 1 mana, you make a 1/1 white human creature token, and then a turn or 2 later, 3 mana, you can make yourself a 5/5 that can now attack because it enables itself. This is the Beauty and the Beast themed card, not a Disney fairy tale. Well, it is a Disney film, but obviously based upon a traditional fairy tale anyway, so it's not a Disney ripoff. Anyone saying that these things are Disney ripoffs are fucking stupid. Just gonna throw that out there now. These cards are interesting because they split effects across multiple turns. They need multiple bits of like mana investment or timing. So, for example, if Lovestruck Beast was a 4 CMC 5/5 that brought with it a 1/1 as well, would that be better? Probably not, because you can't fill out your 1-drop slot and your 3-drop slot in your sort of stompy aggro curve. So they are better when they split the mana cost apart. However, in the case of Embereth Shieldbreaker, is it better than a Vexage? Well, no, it's red and it can't hit enchantments, but my point is it better than the Manic Vandal? Again, no, because it costs multiple mana. Whatever! What I'm getting at is there are pros and cons to it being a spell effect strapped to a creature, or being a separate spell and a separate creature. For example, you could mill yourself. You could mill a Lovestruck Beast to the graveyard and then recast it with Muldrotha or Snapcaster Mage or other nonsense, and then get a beast out of that as well, where if it was a creature card going to the graveyard, Muldrotha would obviously work, but Snapcaster wouldn't. It opens up some really interesting gameplay elements where, for example, you can play your Lovestruck Beast or your Embereth Shieldbreaker and then bounce it back to your hand after you've used it to then recast it again to get the sorcery or instant adventure effect, and then recast it from exile to get the body again. Yeah, there's some tricksy bullshit you can do with these cards, and I'm all for it. I want to see a decent blue one that then allows us to play it, or green one I guess, so perhaps Lovestruck Beast, that we can then play in Eternal Command, the old Crystal Shard Aether Vial deck. Imagine that. Imagine that. So going on to look at some more of the rares, we have Gilded Goose, which is kind of like a fixed Bird of Paradise, a 0/2, so strictly better stats than a Bird of Paradise, green, 1 green bird with flying. And when Gilded Goose enters the battlefield, you get to create a food token. For 2 mana and tap it, you can create a food token. And also, just by default, you can tap it to sack a food token to add any 1 mana to your mana pool. If there is a deck that can produce a lot of food tokens in standard or in other formats I guess as well, then Gilded Goose becomes a standard legal Birds of Paradise. That's pretty strong. Don't forget Elvish Mystic is rotating out, so having some sort of 1 CMC dork, even if it's only a 1-shot or a 2-shot depending on how your deck is built, that's pretty good. Also, the flavour of a golden goose laying golden eggs is fucking awesome. This set is so flavorful, and it's managed to differentiate itself from Innistrad, which is one of my early fears, is that doing all this sort of fairy tale stuff might make it look too similar to the European Germanic folklore stuff we saw in Innistrad. We've already seen a big bad wolf and a Red Riding Hood and so on and so on and so on. So far, the set has avoided that trapping. Piper of the Swarm is a 2-mana human warlock, which some people are excited about, but I don't know why Warlock is exciting. Is it all this WoW stuff? Is Warlock even a playable race in vanilla WoW? God, I fucking hate WoW. It's a 1/3 for 2 mana. Rats you control have menace. That's right, boys and girls. Rat Stompion Legacy has got a new toy, and you should be afraid. For 2 mana, you can tap it to create a 1/1 black rat creature token. For 4 mana, untap it, sacrifice 3 rats, gain control of target creature forever. Yeah, this card seems pretty fun. It might be pretty cool to play alongside, you know, Ogre Slumlord or Pack Rat in some more Eternal formats. And I mean, it makes a body every single turn, and those bodies have menace. Is it going to be playable in Standard? I think the power level's a little bit too low, but I'll definitely be playing it in Brawl and other formats for funsies. Midnight Clock is a 3 mana blue artifact. That's right. Coloured artifacts are evergreen. If you didn't notice, War of the Spark had like Mizium tanks and such. So yeah, coloured artifacts are now evergreen. It taps to add 1 blue, so it's a blue artifact mana rock that makes blue. I think that's actually quite unique. And for 3 mana, put an hour counter on Midnight Clock. At the beginning of each upkeep, put an hour counter on Midnight Clock. When the 12th hour counter is put on Midnight Clock, shuffle your hand and graveyard into your library, and then draw 7 cards and exile Midnight Clock. For those of you who don't know, this is obviously an allusion to Cinderella? Sleeping Beauty? Which one is it with a slipper? Cinderella. Yeah, Cinderella. When the clock strikes 12, the magic will be undone. But you also get to draw 7 cards. That seems pretty good. There's also an inevitability to this mana rock because you put a counter on it every turn. So if you're playing a slow control deck, this is a mana rock that eventually just draws you 7 cards. Seems very good. I think even in Commander, I think this card might be pretty strong because you get a counter every turn, but it's also a mana dump. You don't have to tap it to put the counters onto it. So if you've got an abundance of 6, 7, 8, 9 mana that you haven't dumped into a counter spell, this applies to standard and commander. You can just stick some fucking counters on Midnight Clock. Get clocked. I was upset to find that Silver Flame Ritual wasn't some new O-Ring effect. It actually put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control for 4 mana at sorcery speed, and it's Adamant, which is one of the new mechanics. If at least 3 white mana was spent to cast the spell, creatures you control gain vigilance until end of turn. It's another example of these sort of weird effects that we keep seeing in basically every fucking set now, where it will be some sort of temporary pump or even a counter anthem like this, and will have indestructible or vigilance strapped to it as well. Now I know traditionally, and I've already talked about, Overrun gave trample to like sort of be a game-ending threat, but what I'm experiencing or what I'm noticing with a lot of these green and white cards that do this, including the discount Craterhoof from a few sets ago, is that they make combat too easy. Instead of having to consider, oh, I might need some blockers for the clock, or some of my creatures might die in combat, most of these fucking things give either indestructible or vigilance, or sometimes both. Sometimes both. And you don't even have to think about combat anymore. You can just crash in, and there's no downside to going into the red zone. Personally, I don't like this trend, but whatever. What can you do? Crystal Slipper is Cinderella's Slipper, a 2-mana red artifact equipment that equips for 1, and equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has haste. I never knew that's what Cinderella got when she put the boots on. She became like Sonic the fucking Hedgehog or something, got faster, but I'm cool with it. I like this sort of like red-themed Lightning Greaves that gives a bit of a front-end pump because it's red. How that fits the flavour, who knows? I guess Cinderella was like, she was practicing haste. She was like trying to enjoy that time she had there until midnight hit, and maybe that's the whole idea of the haste, that she's racing around trying to soak it all in. Yeah, okay, I'm into it. A couple more non-rares that I wanted to mention. Keeper of Fables is a 5-mana 4/5 that says whenever a 1 or more non-human creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. The reason I'm mentioning it is A, it's a cat, and of course cats get more support while hounds and wolves don't. Well, wolves get support now and again, but I think hounds and wolves should be consolidated into the dog tribe personally, but also it's a pretty good effect on a 5-mana 4/5. This is a pretty good limited card. I don't know if they're going to talk much about limited cards, but I just see just hitting people and drawing cards feels good. Also, that Broken Ball commander is the flavor text saying, only the lion knows more stories than I do. Alright, Tulane, you're into cats too. We all like cats, buddy. We all like cats. Andrea Mangucci's preview card that came out today, the Monday that I'm filming this, the spoiler discussion, is Mystical Dispute, a 3-mana spell, instant. This spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets a blue spell, and cannot target the spell unless its controller pays 3. It's kind of like Red Elemental Blast in the fact that it's a 1 CMC, a 1-mana card that can deal with blue permanents or blue spells in stack, and that's without going into red as colour, so no Blue-White Miracles and Legacy might want 1 copy of this instead of using the red splash of the Volcanic Island. The downsides obviously are that it can't destroy permanents, and if they've got the abundance of mana they can just pay. But I think this card might see some eternal play because it's very strong effect. Like I said, can be played in non-red decks. Then we have Sir Conrad the Grim, a 5 CMC 5/4 human knight in black. It's a legendary creature, so it's a commander playable card, because you can have it as your commander. But to be honest, I don't know if that's where it's going to see play. Whenever another creature dies, or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves the graveyard, Sir Conrad the Grim deals 1 damage to each opponent, and for 2 mana, black and a 1, each player puts the top card of the library into their graveyard. The 5 CMC is keeping him from being disgustingly broken, but this effect is absurd. Whenever a creature dies, whenever a creature enters the graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, that includes being discarded to your own effects, your opponent's effects, or being self-milled or milled, or if a creature card leaves the graveyard. So this means, in Eternal formats, if you're going to Cabal Therapy sacking off a creature, that triggers it. So this means if you're going to make a Narcomoeba out of the graveyard, if you're going to make an Icarid out of the graveyard, or a Nether Traitor out of the graveyard, or a Hogak out of the graveyard in Legacy, because obviously he's banned in Modern now, or a Prized Amalgam in Modern, you're going to shoot them for 1. And that doesn't mean just when they come out of the graveyard. When you dredge in upkeep and they hit the graveyard, they'll also shoot your opponent. The problem being that this is a 5 CMC creature. So Dredge has got a new toy, is a running meme and a joke, and this almost is a very good toy for Dredge, but the 5 CMC is balancing him pretty hard. It's just so close to being broken because the actual effect itself is so unbelievably good. But ultimately, it's not better than a lot of giant root that the Oops All spell deck and Legacy can take. And of course, the old Angel of Glory's Rise kill that deck had would put him into play, but he's then in play and his effect isn't triggering because he's then in play after the things have left the graveyard. Either way, this card excites me as like a broken like combo-y thing. I hope you've enjoyed this summary of the spoilers we've had up until now. By the time this video comes out today, there'll probably be more spoilers that I've missed, and people in the comment section will be like, what about this card you haven't mentioned, Vince? But I don't give a fuck, alright? I was on a holiday for the weekend, and it was great, by the way. I really enjoyed it. It was really relaxing to get away, not think too much about Magic, and just spend some time with my wife and my beautiful dog. My wife's also beautiful. I don't know why I said beautiful dog, but not beautiful wife. That was weird. They're both beautiful in their own different ways, you know? The dog's just a cute, adorable little pup of a man, and my wife is just lovely. She's supportive. She's beautiful. I love her. Well, that took a weird turn. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, comment down below, let me know what you think of the spoilers, and don't forget to share the video with your friends who haven't seen the new cards yet. I've been Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet. Make sure you tune in for the Loading Ready Run pre-release on the 20th of September, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Ta-ta for now.